Some people think wisdom has to sound sharp. Zen says the opposite. Sometimes the deepest teaching arrives as a quiet smile. Not the smile of everything is fine, but the smile of compassion that doesn't need to win an argument. Tonight's story is about a Zen master who barely speaks, yet his presence softens a hardened heart. If you're tired, overstimulated, or carrying silent pain, let this be your place to rest. No pressure to fix your life in one night, just one breath, one gentle release. And a reminder, kindness can be wordless and still powerful. The Master's smile, compassion without many words. In Zen, compassion isn't always a speech. Sometimes it's a posture, a pause, a cup of tea offered without judgment. Sometimes it's a smile that says, "I see you're suffering, and I'm not afraid of it." That kind of compassion can feel almost shocking, especially to people who are used to being corrected, criticized, or rushed. There's a simple Zen story that carries this teaching. A traveler arrived at a small mountain temple just as dusk was falling. He looked strong, clean clothes, steady steps, but his eyes were restless. He bowed quickly and said he wanted to meet the master. The monks led him to a quiet room where an old teacher sat by a window. The master didn't ask questions. He didn't preach. He simply looked at the traveler with calm attention, as if he had all the time in the world. The traveler began to talk anyway, fast, intense, overflowing. He spoke about betrayal, disappointment, the pressure to succeed, and the anger that kept rising in him like fire. He said, "I've tried to be good. I've tried to be spiritual, but people hurt me, and I can't forgive. I can't sleep. My mind never stops." The master listened without interrupting. Then he poured tea. He held the cup out with two hands. The traveler paused, confused by the silence, and took the cup. The master smiled just slightly, not a proud smile, not a mocking smile, a gentle, human smile. The traveler felt something tighten in his throat. It wasn't the tea. It was the feeling of being met without being managed. No advice, no diagnosis, no debate, just presence. He asked, almost angrily, "Aren't you going to say anything?" The master kept smiling and answered quietly, "What do you need more right now? My words or your peace?" That question landed like a bell in an empty hall. The traveler looked down at the tea. For the first time in a long time, his breath slowed. He realized that his anger wasn't only about what others did. It was also about the way he kept holding it tight-fisted, all day and all night. He had been gripping his pain, like proof that he mattered. Letting go felt like losing, but the master's smile suggested another possibility. Letting go could be love. Zen compassion works like that. It doesn't wrestle your pain to the ground. It creates a safe space where your pain can soften on its own. Buddhist teaching often points to this truth in a single line. Hatred is never ended by hatred. By love alone is it healed. The master's smile wasn't nice. It was medicine. It didn't deny the traveler's wounds. It simply refused to add more violence. And that's the heart of the lesson. Compassion doesn't always need many words. Because real compassion is not trying to win. It's trying to relieve suffering. If you're listening tonight, you may recognize the traveler in yourself. Maybe you're not angry, but you're tense. Maybe you're not tense, but you're exhausted. Maybe you're carrying grief you don't talk about. The mind keeps asking for answers, but the heart is asking for something simpler, to be held in awareness without pressure. This is why Zen practice is often described as returning to breath, returning to the body, returning to what is real. Before we try to fix anything, we learn to stop attacking ourselves for being human. A related idea in Buddhism is non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging to pain as identity. When you cling, the mind stays awake. When you loosen, the mind can rest. Another related teaching is loving kindness, metta, the intention that you and all beings be safe and at ease. Loving kindness is not sentimental. It is a strong decision not to harm, especially not to harm yourself in the dark. So how do you practice the master's smile in a way that supports sleep? Start by borrowing the master's posture, not physically perfect, but emotionally simple. Let your shoulders drop a little. Let your jaw loosen. Let your tongue rest. Then breathe in through the nose and exhale slightly longer than you inhale. Now imagine the master sitting beside you, not as a magical figure, but as a symbol of steady compassion. Imagine he looks at you with that small, kind smile, and you don't have to explain everything. You don't have to justify your feelings. You don't have to perform calm. You can just be real. If thoughts come, don't argue with them. Let them be like sounds outside a window. The master would not chase them. He would not fear them. He would simply return to the tea, return to the breath. You can try a short phrase with the breath. Inhale, I see this. Exhale, I soften. Or, inhale, may I be safe. 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 Exhale, may I be at ease. Notice how these phrases are gentle, not dramatic. That's Zen. Compassion doesn't shout. It settles. If you feel emotional, that's okay. Sometimes the first sign of healing is that the body finally feels safe enough to release. Let the tears come if they come. Let the tightness loosen if it loosens. The master's smile is permission. You don't have to keep proving you're strong. And here's the deeper transformation. When you learn compassion without many words, you stop needing the world to constantly reassure you. You become steadier inside. You can respond to life without losing yourself. That is real strength. A short inspirational line to carry from this teaching is simple. Let your kindness be quieter than your fear. Tonight, you don't have to solve your whole life. You only need to take one step toward softness. Like a master offering tea, you can offer yourself one small act of care. A slower exhale, a gentler inner voice, a willingness to stop fighting the night. Let the teaching be wordless for a moment. Let it be a breath. Let it be a smile. Let it be rest. The flower in the dust. A smile that refuses to condemn. Some compassion speaks in long explanations. Zen compassion often speaks in what it doesn't do. It doesn't rush. It doesn't shame. It doesn't turn your pain into a problem to fix. It simply stays close enough for your heart to unclench. And sometimes it appears in the smallest gesture, a smile that refuses to condemn. Here's a Zen story that carries that kind of mercy. A young monk was sent to the village market to buy rice. He had trained for years in the quiet of the temple, but the marketplace was loud, crowded, and impatient. He moved carefully, repeating mindful steps, trying not to bump anyone, trying not to spill anything, trying not to make a mistake that would embarrass the monastery. On the way back, as he passed through a narrow alley, a child ran in front of him. The monk swerved, and the bag of rice tore. White grains scattered across the ground like tiny beads. Some rolled into the dust. Some disappeared into cracks between stones. People nearby laughed. A few shook their heads. Someone muttered, "What a waste." Unnumb. The young monk froze. His face burned. His mind snapped into the harsh voice that many of us know too well. You ruined it. You're careless. You don't deserve to wear the robe. His breath got tight. His throat closed. The world felt suddenly too bright, too loud, too unforgiving. He dropped to his knees and began picking up the rice fast, frantic, almost desperate. But the more he grabbed, the more he felt the shame pressing down. A tear fell onto his hand. Then another. Just then, an old Zen master from the temple appeared at the entrance of the alley. No one knew why he was there. He simply stood and watched. The young monk looked up and expected anger, correction, disappointment. Instead, the master smiled. Not a smile that said, "It's fine, don't worry." Not a smile that dismissed responsibility. It was a deeper smile, the kind that sees the human heart struggling and refuses to add another blow. The young monk whispered, "Master, I failed." The master crouched down slowly, placed his hand on the ground near the spilled grains, and picked up a single piece of rice from the dust. He held it gently, as if it were a flower. Then he said, "Look closely." The monk stared. The master said, "Even here, it is still rice." The young monk didn't understand at first. The master continued, very softly, "You are treating yourself like this rice has become worthless because it touched the dust." The monk's eyes filled again. The master's smile stayed steady. "Now tell me," he asked, "when your heart touches the dust of a mistake, do you become worthless too?" Something inside the young monk broke open, not in despair, but in relief. He realized he had been living with a silent belief. A mistake makes me unclean. A mistake makes me less worthy. That belief was not discipline. It was cruelty wearing the costume of discipline. Zen compassion unmasks that cruelty. The marketplace noise faded for a moment. The monk's breathing slowed. He felt a quiet truth rise in him. I can learn without hating myself. In Buddhist teaching, this is the difference between wisdom and self-violence. Wisdom sees cause and effect. Wisdom learns. Wisdom repairs. But it doesn't stab you with shame. Shame is not the Dharma. Shame is the mind's old habit of punishment. The Buddha taught that suffering grows through unskillful mental states, and shame can be one of them when it turns into hatred toward yourself. A line often attributed to the spirit of Buddhist practice is that the path is purification of the mind. But purification is not humiliation. It is clarity, gentleness, and steady returning. The master didn't tell the monk to ignore the spilled rice. He didn't say, "Nothing matters." He simply removed the second arrow, the extra suffering. The first arrow was the mistake. The second arrow was the monk's self-condemnation. And as the Buddha taught, we don't need to fire the second arrow. Then the master did something even more surprising. He began picking up rice too, slowly, patiently, without panic. A couple of villagers saw him and stopped laughing. One person joined in. Another followed. Soon, hands were helping not because the monk demanded it, but because compassion is contagious when someone models it without pride. The master's smile had quietly changed the whole scene. That is, to become kon neu lori, compassion that doesn't need many words. Now, here is the teaching for your night, especially if you go to bed replaying your mistakes. Many people cannot sleep because their mind becomes a courtroom. You put yourself on trial. You prosecute yourself with remembered words. You present evidence against your worth. You repeat the verdict. Not enough. Wrong. Late. Behind. Zen walks into that courtroom and does something radical. It smiles not in sarcasm, but in mercy. It reminds you that a mistake is dust, not identity. The heart can touch dust and still remain worthy of kindness. This doesn't mean you avoid accountability. Buddhism is not permissive in a careless way. It emphasizes right action and right effort, but right effort is balanced. It is effort guided by compassion, not by cruelty. If you made a mistake, you can correct it tomorrow. If you hurt someone, you can make amends. If you wasted time, you can begin again. But punishing yourself at midnight does not create wisdom. It only drains your life. So tonight, practice the master's lesson with the rice in the dust method. First, name one mistake you keep replaying. Keep it small and specific. Second, notice the shame story attached to it, what it means about you. Third, answer with the master's truth. Even here, I am still me. Fourth, return to breath, longer exhale. You are not denying. You are removing condemnation. You can also use a gentle phrase with your breath, like a smile you offer yourself. Inhale, human. Exhale, learning. Or inhale, I see the dust. Exhale, I keep my heart soft. And if you want to bring loving kindness directly into it, try, may I be forgiven in my own heart. May I learn with patience. May I rest tonight? These phrases are not magic spells. They are mental training. They replace the old habit of self-attack with the new habit of self-respect. In Buddhism, this is wholesome. It supports a mind that can awaken. Now, let's turn this into a simple bedtime mini meditation because you asked for a script that includes a gentle guided practice. Lie down. Let your shoulders drop. Place one hand lightly on your chest or belly. Feel the warmth of your hand. Inhale through the nose. Exhale slowly. Now, recall the master's smile, not as a performance, but as a felt sense. The feeling of being met without judgment. Imagine the spilled rice. Imagine the dust. Then imagine the master lifting one grain like a flower. On the next exhale, whisper inwardly, even here, I am still worthy of peace. On the next exhale, whisper inwardly, tomorrow, I will do what I can. On the next exhale, whisper inwardly, tonight, I rest. If thoughts interrupt, let them pass like footsteps outside a door. Return to the exhale. Return to the hand on your body. Return to the softness in the face. This is Zen. Simple returning. Because sometimes the most powerful compassion is not a lecture. It's a smile that prevents the mind from turning a mistake into a life sentence. And when the mind stops sentencing you, the body can finally sleep. The broken cup, a smile that teaches impermanence. Some lessons don't arrive as answers. They arrive as a small moment you can't forget. Zen is like that. It gives you an image, quiet, ordinary, and somehow the image keeps working on you long after the words are gone. Tonight's story is about a cup that breaks and a Zen master who smiles, not because loss is fun, but because he sees something the rest of us often miss. Impermanence is not a threat. It's the truth that makes peace possible. A novice monk once lived in a monastery where the tea ceremony was treated with great care. Every morning, the monks washed the cups, warmed the kettle, and poured tea in silence. The cups were simple but beautiful, used for decades. The novice loved one cup in particular, small, smooth, with a faint crackle pattern in the glaze. He began to think of it as his cup, even though the monastery never assigned ownership. One morning, the novice was rinsing the cup near a stone basin. The air was cold. His hands were stiff. A leaf blew across the water. He turned his head for a second, and the cup slipped. It hit the stone and shattered. The sound was sharp, final, like a bell that didn't end. The novice's chest tightened, his mind flooded with fear. I've ruined something precious. I'm careless. I will be blamed. He stared at the broken pieces, as if they were evidence in a trial. His throat went dry. His hands trembled. He gathered the shards carefully in his robe and rushed to find the Zen master. The old teacher was sitting in the courtyard, feeding birds. The novice bowed low, holding the broken pieces like a confession. "Master," he said, voice shaking, "I broke the cup." The master looked at the shards. Then he looked at the novice. The novice felt confused, almost offended. "Why are you smiling?" he blurted. "This cup was important. I ruined it." The master's smile stayed gentle. "Yes," he said, "it was important. And yes, it broke." Then the master asked, "Tell me, before it fell, what was the true nature of the cup?" The novice didn't understand. "It was a cup," he said. The master nodded. "And what else?" The novice hesitated, then said, "It was whole." The master shook his head slowly. "Look closer." He held up one shard, so the light touched the glaze. From the day it was made, it was a broken cup, only waiting for the right moment to reveal it. The novice's eyes widened. That sounded harsh at first, like the master was being cold. But the master's face was warm. His smile wasn't mocking. It was compassionate. He continued, "Everything that is formed will change. Everything that is held will be released. You thought the cup was safe because it had not yet broken. But nothing is safe from change. The surprise is not that it broke. The surprise is that we forget it will." The courtyard was quiet. Birds chirped and hopped closer. The novice felt tears rise not only because of the cup, but because he recognized something in himself. He had been clinging to so many things as if they were guaranteed. People, plans, health, praise, certainty. And whenever life changed, his heart reacted like something had gone wrong. The master's smile was telling him, change is not always wrong. Change is the law of life. In Buddhist teaching, this is impermanence anicca. The Buddha taught that what we cling to will change, and clinging brings suffering. But the goal is not to become numb. The goal is to become wise, to love without possession, to care without gripping, to appreciate without demanding permanence. The master didn't stop there. He set the shards down gently, as if honoring the cup's life. Then he said something the novice never forgot. "When you hold tea, hold tea. When you hold the cup, hold the cup. But don't hold it like it must last forever." That is Zen compassion without many words. The master then stood and walked with the novice to the tea room. He took a plain clay cup from the shelf, one the novice had never noticed. It was imperfect, slightly uneven. The master poured tea and handed it to him with two hands. The novice drank. The tea was the same warmth, the same quiet, the same fragrance. The master smiled again and asked, "What changed?" The novice swallowed and whispered, "The cup." The master nodded. "And what remained?" The novice looked down at the tea, then at his own trembling hands. He said softly, "The practice." The master's smile widened. Not big, not showy, just enough. Yes, he said, the practice remains. That is the heart of this story. When you trust impermanence, you stop collapsing when life shifts. You grieve, yes. You adapt, yes. But you don't fall into panic as if change is betrayal. You recognize change as reality. And when you recognize reality, peace becomes possible. Now, how does this help you sleep? So many people can't sleep because their mind is clinging to what cannot be held. They are clinging to keeping a relationship exactly the same, keeping a plan exactly on schedule, keeping an image of themselves untouched by mistakes, keeping the future predictable. But the future is not predictable. Life is not fixed. The cup is always already broken, meaning change will come. When you understand this, a strange relief appears. You stop demanding guarantees. You stop asking the night to promise you that nothing will go wrong tomorrow. Zen cannot promise that. But Zen can promise something more stable. You can meet whatever comes with practice. And practice is simple: breath, awareness, kindness, returning. Tonight, try a small broken cup practice in bed. First, notice what you're clinging to in your mind right now. Is it a conversation you want to go differently? Is it a plan you need to control? Is it a fear about losing something? Name it gently. Clinging. Now inhale and silently say, changing. Exhale and silently say, releasing. You're not trying to force release. You're reminding the heart. Change is natural. If grief rises, let it rise. Buddhism does not deny grief. It simply teaches you not to add extra fear on top. Grief is love, meeting impermanence. It's human. But clinging turns grief into torment. Zen softens torment by offering truth without cruelty. Then add loving kindness. Put a hand on your chest and say, may I be steady as life changes. May I be gentle as things pass. May I rest tonight. Now, imagine holding a cup in your hands. Feel the warmth. Then imagine setting it down. This is symbolic. You are learning how to hold life without gripping it. Finally, return to the simplest refuge, the exhale. Longer, softer, slower. The exhale is your teacher. It teaches release in every moment. Inhale, receives. Exhale, lets go. All night, your body knows how to practice impermanence. Your mind can learn from the body. If you want one line to carry you into sleep from this story, let it be this: I can love without holding too tightly. That sentence is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is how the heart becomes free. And perhaps that is why the master smiled when the cup broke. Not because breaking is good, but because truth had arrived. And truth, when held with compassion, can quiet the mind more than any explanation. The silent apology, a smile that ends conflict. Sometimes we think compassion must come wrapped in perfect words, an explanation, a defense, a confession, a speech that proves we meant well. But Zen often teaches that the most healing apology is not the one that sounds impressive, it's the one that's real. And sometimes what's real is quiet. A bow, a shared cup of tea, and a smile that says, "I'm not here to fight anymore." Here's a story Zen students love because it feels so human. Two monks lived in the same monastery for many years. One monk was precise. He cared about rules, schedules, and doing things the right way. The other monk was warm. He cared about people's hearts, and sometimes he moved more slowly. Sometimes he forgot small details. Over time, the precise monk started building a secret list of complaints. He didn't say them directly, he just carried them. He noticed every missed detail, every imperfect gesture, every wrong way of doing things, and he stored it up like stones in a pocket. One evening, the monastery prepared for a ceremony. The warm monk arranged flowers near the altar. He chose wild flowers from the hillside, simple and bright. The precise monk frowned. "Those aren't the traditional flowers," he said sharply. The warm monk replied gently, "They were the freshest today." The precise monk's frustration finally spilled out. He criticized the warm monk in front of others about flowers, about discipline, about respect, about how things should be done. His words were not only about flowers. They were years of hidden irritation. The room went quiet. The warm monk's face changed. He didn't shout back, but his eyes looked wounded. He bowed and walked away without a word. That night, the precise monk sat in his room, feeling strangely restless. He expected to feel satisfied, like he had finally said the truth. But the truth didn't feel clean. His chest felt tight. His mind replayed the moment, and for the first time, he saw something he hadn't wanted to see: the other monk's hurt. He tried to justify himself. "I was right." He tried to blame the other monk. He should be more careful. He tried to blame the rules. "We must keep standards." But none of it softened his chest. So he went to the Zen master. The master listened quietly as the precise monk explained very carefully why he had spoken the way he did. He expected the master to agree, to confirm his correctness. But when he finished, the master asked only one question: "Was your truth kind?" The precise monk froze. "Truth is truth," he said. The master smiled small, calm. "And a knife is a knife," he replied. "But you can use it to cut bread or to cut someone's heart." The monk felt heat rise in his face. "What should I do?" he asked. The master's smile stayed gentle. "Go and bow," he said. "No speech, no defense, just bow." The monk was confused. "But I need to explain myself." The master shook his head slightly, still smiling. "Your explanation is for your pride," he said. "Your bow is for his pain." That line hit hard. The monk realized something painful. He wanted to apologize in a way that protected his image. He wanted to be forgiven while still being right. But Zen compassion doesn't bargain like that. It is willing to lose face to save a heart. So, late that night, he walked to the warm monk's room. He stood outside the door, listening to silence, feeling his own resistance. He wanted to knock and start talking. He wanted to give reasons. He wanted to control the outcome, but the master had said, "No speech." He slid the door open gently. The warm monk sat on the floor, folding robes. He looked up, guarded. The precise monk stepped forward, bowed deeply, and stayed bowed longer than was comfortable. When he lifted his head, he didn't speak. He simply offered a small smile. Not a casual smile, a humble one. The smile of someone admitting, "I hurt you. I see it now." The warm monk stared at him, surprised. For a moment, he looked like he might cry. Then his shoulders softened. He returned the bow, and he smiled too. No long conversation. No perfect apology speech. Just a quiet exchange. Acknowledgement, humility, and the willingness to end the fight. Afterward, the warm monk poured tea. They drank in silence. The ceremony the next day was simple and beautiful. The wildflowers stayed. This is to be Hong Kong Yului, compassion without many words. Now, what's the Buddhist lesson? Zen teaches that conflict often continues because each person protects their pride. Pride demands the last word. Pride wants to be understood more than it wants to understand. Pride turns even good intentions into weapons. But compassion is different. Compassion is willing to disarm first. In Buddhist language, this is closely connected to right speech and right intention. Right speech is not only about speaking true words. It's about speaking words that are beneficial and timely. Right intention includes non-harming. If your truth harms unnecessarily, it may be true, but it's not skillful. Zen asks for skillfulness, not just correctness. This story also connects to the teaching of ego, the self that wants to be right, respected, superior, safe. Ego doesn't sleep well. Ego is always guarding. Zen practice helps you rest by softening ego's grip. At night, many people replay conflicts. They rehearse arguments. They imagine proving themselves. They plan what to say. The body lies in bed, but the mind is still in battle. Zen says, put down the sword. If you can put down the sword, your nervous system will finally stop bracing. So how do you practice the silent apology at bedtime, even if you can't fix the relationship tonight? First, recognize the conflict energy in your body. Is your jaw clenched? Is your chest tight? Are your fists subtly closed? Then practice a silent bow inwardly, not to submit, but to release. A bow is a symbol of humility and awareness. You can bow to the truth that you are human. You can bow to the other person's pain, even if you believe you are partly right. You can bow to your own pain, too. Then add one simple phrase. May I not add more harm. This is a powerful Buddhist intention. It doesn't require you to agree. It requires you to stop harming. Now, with the exhale, soften your grip on needing to win. Imagine setting down a sword. Imagine your shoulders dropping. Imagine your mind unhooking from the argument. You can also practice a short loving kindness for both sides. May I be peaceful. May you be peaceful. May we be free from bitterness. Notice, this is not saying the problem doesn't matter. It's saying you don't want hatred to be the manager of the problem. Finally, return to breath. Let the exhale be longer, like laying down a heavy weapon. Zen masters smile because they know something. The moment you stop fighting is the moment you start healing. And healing is what the heart has wanted all along. If you want one closing line from this story to carry into sleep, let it be this: I don't need to win to be at peace. Say it gently. Then let the body soften. Let the mind stop rehearsing. Let the night be quiet again. The heavy stone, a smile that teaches forgiveness without forcing. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood words in spiritual life. Many people think forgiveness means pretending something didn't hurt, or excusing what was wrong, or letting someone back into your life without boundaries. Zen doesn't teach forgiveness like that. Zen teaches forgiveness as release that protects your heart from becoming a prison. And often, the doorway into that release is surprisingly gentle. A smile that doesn't push you, doesn't lecture you, doesn't demand you be bigger. It simply helps you see what you're carrying. Here's a Zen story about a stone. A woman once came to a mountain monastery at the edge of winter. She was not a student. She wasn't looking for rituals. She wasn't interested in philosophy. She looked like someone who had been surviving more than living. Her jaw was tight. Her eyes were tired. Her voice was controlled, like a lid on boiling water. She told the gatekeeper she needed to speak with the Zen master. She said it the way people say it when they've already decided nothing will help, but they have nowhere else to put their pain. The monks led her to the courtyard. The master was sweeping leaves. When he saw her, he didn't ask her to sit. He didn't ask her to confess. He simply nodded and continued sweeping, letting the silence do its work. Finally, she spoke. "I can't forgive," she said. "And everyone keeps telling me I have to. They say I'll never be free if I don't, but they don't know what happened to me." The master stopped sweeping. He looked at her calmly, not with curiosity, but with respect. Then he pointed to a stone near the path about the size of a grapefruit. "Pick it up," he said. She frowned. "Why?" He didn't explain. He simply smiled small, patient, and gestured again. She picked up the stone. It was heavier than she expected. "Now," he said, "hold it." She held it in both hands, her arms tensed. They stood like that for a while in silence. At first, it felt silly. But after a minute, her wrists began to ache. After 2 minutes, her shoulders tightened. After 3, her breathing changed. Finally, she snapped, "Okay, what is this supposed to prove?" The master's smile didn't change. His voice was soft. "How long can you hold it?" "Not long," she said. "It hurts." The master nodded. "Yes, and you have been holding something much heavier for much longer." Her face shifted. The anger that had protected her began to tremble. "You don't know what I've been holding," she whispered. The master stepped closer, not invading her space, just close enough for presence. He said, "I don't need to know every detail to see the weight in your body." He pointed to her hands. "You picked up the stone, but you can also put it down." Her eyes filled. "If I put it down," she said, "it means what they didn't matter." The master shook his head gently. "No," he said, "it means you matter." That sentence landed like warm water on a frozen heart. This is Zen forgiveness. Not, "it didn't matter." Not, "it was okay." But you matter enough not to carry poison forever. In Buddhist teaching, clinging creates suffering. Sometimes we cling to resentment because it feels like justice. It feels like protection. It feels like a boundary. And sometimes it has been protecting us. But the Buddha's wisdom asks a deeper question. Is it protecting you now? Or is it continuing the harm inside your body? Resentment is a kind of inner fire. It can keep you alert. It can make you feel powerful. But it also burns you. It steals your sleep. It tightens your chest. It keeps old pain alive in fresh ways. The master wasn't saying, "Forgive now." He was saying, "Notice the cost." The woman's arms shook. She adjusted her grip on the stone, trying to keep holding it. The master said gently, "You don't have to drop it suddenly. You can lower it slowly." That's an important detail. Zen doesn't force release. It teaches gradual release, release that respects the nervous system. The woman took a breath and lowered the stone to the ground. Her shoulders immediately softened. Her fingers tingled with relief. She looked at the master, confused and quiet. He smiled, not because the pain was solved, but because truth had arrived. She had choices. He said, "Forgiveness is not a gift you give them first. It is a gift you give your own body." This is the heart of the teaching. Forgiveness begins as internal, non-harming. It begins as stopping the daily re-injury. It begins as letting your nervous system unclench so you can sleep. Buddhist texts often emphasize that anger and hatred do not end suffering, they prolong it. One line that expresses the spirit clearly is, "Hatred is never ended by hatred. By love alone is it healed." Love here doesn't mean romance or soft sentimentality. It means the deep intention not to harm, especially not to harm yourself. Now, how does this relate to your night? Many people can't sleep because their mind is holding a stone. It might be resentment toward someone else. It might be resentment toward themselves. It might be a memory they keep gripping because they're afraid letting go means it wins. But Zen says, letting go doesn't mean they win. It means you stop bleeding in private. Oh, tonight, try the stone practice in bed. First, identify what you're holding. Name it in one short phrase. That betrayal, that rejection, that humiliation, that unfairness, that mistake. Second, notice how it feels in your body. Where is the stone? In the chest? In the throat? In the stomach? In the jaw? Third, breathe out slowly, as if you were lowering the stone by 1 inch, not dropping it, lowering it. Feel your shoulders soften a fraction. Feel the jaw loosen a fraction. Then say inwardly, I don't have to carry this tonight. That sentence is a boundary. It is not denial. It is wise timing. You can deal with what happened and still allow your body to rest. If guilt arises, if I rest, I'm weak. Answer with compassion. Rest is not approval. Rest is recovery. Zen agrees. Buddhism agrees. Recovery is part of the path. Now, we also need to be honest. Forgiveness doesn't mean you remove boundaries. Sometimes you forgive and still keep distance. Sometimes you forgive and still say no. Forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. Zen is clear about this. Compassion includes wisdom. Wisdom protects. So if you're carrying a stone because you were harmed, you can release inner poison without reopening the door to harm. And this is where the master's smile matters. The smile says, you can be both kind and protected. You can be both soft and firm. You can release without surrendering your dignity. For a gentle meditation to close this section, try this. Place one hand on your chest. Inhale. I feel the weight. Exhale. I soften my grip. Inhale. May I be free. Exhale. May I sleep in peace. Let thoughts come and go. Each exhale is lowering the stone. Each return is healing. If you want one final line from this story to carry into sleep, let it be, I release for my own peace. All to way. Let's I release. Say it softly, not as a command, as permission. Because the deepest compassion isn't about saying the perfect thing. Sometimes it's just a quiet smile that shows you the ground beneath your feet, the breath inside your chest, and the simple truth. You don't have to keep carrying what's crushing you. The listening bowl. A smile that makes space for your pain. There are people who try to comfort you by fixing you. They offer advice too quickly. They rush to positivity. They explain your feelings back to you. Sometimes they mean well, but you leave the conversation feeling even more alone because your pain never actually got held. Zen compassion is different. Zen compassion is spacious. It listens the way an empty bowl receives water, without argument, without interruption, without trying to reshape what's being poured in. And sometimes, the deepest healing begins, not with answers, but with being received. Here's a Zen story about a bowl. A young man once arrived at a monastery after a long journey. He wasn't dramatic. He didn't cry. He spoke politely. but his eyes looked like someone who had been carrying something for too long. The monks offered him food, and he ate quietly. They offered him a place to sleep, and he thanked them. But even after resting, his face remained tight, like a knot. The next day, he asked to meet the Zen master. The master welcomed him into a small room. There was a low table, 2 cushions, and a simple ceramic bowl placed in the center, empty and clean. The master didn't ask many questions. He poured tea into the bowl until it was half full, then stopped. He looked at the visitor kindly, as if saying, "Take your time." At first, the young man tried to speak properly, like someone trained to be acceptable. He said he was fine. He said he just wanted peace. He said he wanted to learn meditation. The master smiled softly and said, "Then let us begin with honesty." He tapped the empty bowl gently. "This bowl is ready," he said. "Are you?" The young man looked away. Something trembled in his throat. He didn't want to spill the truth. He didn't want to be too much. He didn't want to be seen as weak. The master didn't push. He simply remained present. And he kept smiling, not cheerful, not forced, just steady. The kind of smile that makes you feel safe enough to stop performing. Minutes passed. The quiet did not feel awkward. It felt like permission. Finally, the young man spoke not in a neat summary, but in a messy human way. He talked about loss. He talked about a relationship that ended without closure. He talked about feeling like he was failing his family. He talked about nights when he couldn't sleep and mornings when he didn't want to wake up. He admitted something he had never admitted out loud. "I'm tired of being strong." Cries. As he spoke, his voice cracked. Tears came. He tried to apologize for crying. The master shook his head gently, smiling. "Don't apologize," he said. "Water belongs in a bowl." That line landed in the young man's body like warmth. Water belongs in a bowl. Zen doesn't treat tears like a problem. It treats tears like truth. The problem is not that you feel. The problem is that you feel alone with what you feel. A listening presence changes everything. It says, "You don't have to carry this in silence." The master did not lecture. He did not tell the young man to move on. He did not compare suffering. He did not give quick solutions. He simply listened, like the empty bowl. When the young man finally fell quiet, exhausted, the master lifted the bowl and looked at it. This bowl did not become dirty because it received water, he said. It becomes clean again by being empty. The young man frowned, not understanding. The master smiled. "You have been afraid that if you share your pain, you will burden others," he said. "But pain shared with presence is not a burden. It is release." Then the master said something that reflected the heart of Buddhist compassion. Suffering is part of being human, but suffering alone is extra. In Buddhism, this relates to the teaching of dukkha, the unsatisfactory, the painful, the tender truth of life. The Buddha did not deny dukkha. He named it, clearly. And he offered a path, not to pretend, but to transform. One powerful part of that path is Sangha, community, and the presence of wise companionship. Sometimes, you don't need 100 teachings. You need one safe presence. The Master's smile was that presence. Now, what is the lesson for your night? Many people cannot sleep because they are holding emotion in the body. They swallow grief, swallow fear, swallow loneliness, swallow anger. The body becomes a closed container under pressure. Then at bedtime, when everything quiets, the pressure rises and the mind starts racing. Zen offers the listening bowl practice. Make space. Space doesn't mean you dramatize. It means you stop clamping down. It means you allow feeling to exist without attacking it. That is compassion. Tonight, you can be your own listening bowl. Here is how. Lie down and put one hand on your chest. Feel the warmth of your hand. Take a slow inhale. Let the exhale be longer. Now ask yourself gently, what am I holding? Don't answer with a story. Answer with a feeling. Sadness, fear, tiredness, loneliness, frustration, grief. Name it softly. Sadness is here. Tiredness is here. This naming is mindfulness. In Buddhist practice, naming can create distance and safety. It helps you see feelings as visitors, not as identity. Then say inwardly, this can be here, not forever, not as a life sentence, just, it can be here. This is how a bowl receives water. If tears come, let them come. If no tears come, that's fine too. The point is permission, not performance. Then add loving kindness metta as gentle medicine. May I be held in kindness. May I be at ease. May my heart soften tonight. These phrases are not trying to force happiness. They are creating a safe environment inside your nervous system. Zen teaches that when you stop resisting your feelings often soften. Resistance makes them stronger. Space makes them move. That movement is healing. A trapped emotion keeps you awake. A moving emotion allows sleep. The Master's smile also teaches something else. You don't have to explain your pain to deserve compassion. You don't need the perfect reason. You don't need to prove your suffering is valid. You are a human being. That is enough. This is why the Master said, water belongs in a bowl. It means your tears belong in compassion. Your fatigue belongs in rest. Your fear belongs in gentle awareness. You don't have to exile your emotions to be spiritual. Now, if your mind starts judging, I shouldn't feel this, treat that judgment like dust on the mirror and wipe it away. Replace it with the Master's smile. Replace it with one line. I can be human and still be wise. To close this section, here is a short guided meditation you can use as you drift towards sleep. Inhale, I make space. Exhale, I soften. Inhale, I receive my life. Exhale, I let it flow. If thoughts come, return to the exhale. If emotion comes, let it be held. If silence comes, rest in it. Zen compassion without many words is not empty. It's full of presence. And presence is what your nervous system has been craving. When you finally feel received by a teacher, by a friend, or by your own awareness, your body stops bracing. And when the body stops bracing, sleep becomes possible. The stranger's umbrella, a smile that teaches quiet giving. Some compassion announces itself. It wants credit. It wants to be seen. Zen compassion often moves differently. It helps and disappears. No speech, no lesson delivered out loud. Just the simple act of easing someone's suffering, then letting the moment go. Tonight's story is about an umbrella and a Zen master's smile that teaches quiet giving, the kind of kindness that doesn't need applause. A heavy rain had been falling since morning. The monastery's stone paths were dark and slick, and the mist wrapped the hills like a soft gray robe. That day, the Zen master needed to walk down to the village to visit an elderly woman who had been sick. A young novice offered to come, but the master said gently, "Stay and practice." He took a small umbrella and began walking alone. On the way, he passed a narrow bridge over a stream that had swelled with rain. Near the bridge stood a traveler soaked, shivering, and clearly unsure. His clothes were thin. His bag was wrapped in cloth, but water still seeped in. He had no umbrella. He looked like someone trying to appear tough while quietly losing the battle. The master slowed, not dramatically, just enough to see clearly. The traveler tried to step forward, slipped slightly, and caught himself. He muttered something under his breath, embarrassed. The master walked up, opened his umbrella a little wider, and held it over both of them so the traveler's face was no longer directly in the rain. The traveler looked surprised. No, he said quickly. "I'm fine." The master smiled small and calm and said, "Then let us both be fine." The traveler didn't know how to respond. He tried to refuse again, but the rain kept hitting his shoulders. Finally, he gave in and stepped under the umbrella. His posture softened instantly, not because the rain stopped, but because someone stopped making him pretend. They walked in silence for several minutes. The master didn't interrogate him. He didn't ask where he was going, why he was alone, what mistakes he'd made. He didn't turn kindness into a conversation that required the traveler to perform gratitude. He simply walked. The umbrella stayed steady. The rain kept falling. At the edge of the village, the master stopped at a small turn in the road. The traveler was going straight. The master was going left. The traveler bowed awkwardly. "Thank you," he said. "I'll remember this." The master smiled again, and with a gentle motion, he placed the umbrella into the traveler's hands. The traveler's eyes widened. "No, I can't take it. You need it." The master looked at the sky, then at the traveler, and said softly, "I have already been wet." The traveler didn't understand what to do with that sentence. It wasn't heroic. It wasn't a sermon. It was simply true. The master had been walking in rain for hours. His robe was damp at the hem. He wasn't protecting a perfect comfort. He was choosing a simple kindness. Then the master bowed and walked away into the rain without looking back. Later that evening, the novice asked the master, "Why did you give away your umbrella?" The master smiled and asked, "Did the rain end because I kept it?" The novice said, "No." The master nodded. "Then why should my heart stay small?" That's Zen. The teaching here is not that you must sacrifice until you suffer. Zen is not teaching unhealthy self-neglect. The teaching is about non-attachment to ownership and compassion without display. The master gave because he could. He didn't give to be praised. He didn't give to feel superior. He gave as naturally as breathing. Then he let the story go. In Buddhism, this connects to dana generosity. Dana is the first of the perfections in many Buddhist traditions because it loosens the tight fist of the self. A tight fist says, "Mine." A relaxed hand says, "May you be well." And every time the hand relaxes, the heart relaxes too. A relaxed heart sleeps better. Many people struggle to sleep because they are clenching not only around possessions, but around control, recognition, and identity. They want to be seen as good. They want to be appreciated. They want to matter. Zen compassion offers a different kind of peace. Do good quietly, then rest. But there's another layer, the traveler's refusal. "I'm fine." How many of us say that while we're drowning inside? The master didn't argue with him. He simply widened the umbrella. That's compassion without many words. It respects pride without obeying it. It gives help without humiliating. It says, "You don't have to beg. You don't have to prove you deserve care." This is a healing lesson for bedtime, too. You are allowed to receive. Some people are so used to being strong that they can't relax because they never let support in. Zen teaches balance. Give when you can, receive when you need. Both are practice. So tonight, what does this story offer you? First, it offers a question. Where is my heart clenched? Maybe it's clenched around needing to be liked. Maybe it's clenched around feeling unappreciated. Maybe it's clenched around money fear. Maybe it's clenched around the urge to prove yourself. Second, it offers an action. Widen your umbrella. In inner practice, widening your umbrella means widening your compassion toward yourself and others. If you made mistakes today, widen your umbrella. I am human. If someone hurt you, widen your umbrella. May I not become bitter. If you feel lonely, widen your umbrella. May I be gently held by life. Third, it offers a letting go. The master walked away without needing the traveler to remember him. That is freedom. When your goodness needs applause, your mind stays awake waiting. When your goodness is quiet, your mind rests. This connects to the Buddha's teaching on intention. A wholesome act is not only about what you do, it's about why you do it. Quiet giving purifies intention. It makes the heart lighter. Now, A simple bedtime umbrella meditation you can try. Lie down and feel the weight of your body. Inhale slowly. Exhale longer. On the inhale, imagine opening an umbrella above your heart. On the exhale, imagine the umbrella widening, covering you with gentleness. Then repeat softly, "May I be sheltered. May I be at ease. May I let go of needing to be seen." If thoughts arise, let them be rain. You don't need to stop the rain. You only need to stay sheltered in awareness. Zen doesn't promise that life will stop raining. It promises you can change how you meet the rain. That's the deeper piece. One more teaching from this story. The master said, "I have already been wet." That line carries quiet wisdom. It means discomfort has already been part of today. So we can choose kindness without panic. It also means you can survive discomfort. Many sleepless nights come from fear of discomfort, fear of uncertainty, fear of emotion, fear of tomorrow. Zen says, some wetness is unavoidable, but your heart doesn't need to shrink because of it. If you want one line to carry into sleep from the umbrella story, let it be, "I can be kind and still be free." Say it gently. Let the breath lengthen. Let your shoulders soften. Let the mind stop waiting for credit. Let the heart feel wide enough to rest. Because sometimes the greatest compassion is not what you say. It's what you quietly give and how lightly you walk away afterward. The candle and the breath, a smile that brings you home. Zen stories often end with something quiet. Not fireworks, not dramatic victories, just a small shift in the heart like a candle being lit in a dark room. Because Zen isn't trying to impress your mind. It's trying to soften your suffering. And tonight, as we complete Part A, the teaching returns to the simplest refuge, the breath. Here's a story about a candle. A novice monk once struggled with restless nights. During the day, he seemed fine, helpful, polite, hard-working. But when the monastery grew silent and the lamps went out, his mind would start running. He replayed mistakes. He worried about the future. He imagined disasters. Sometimes his heart would pound for no clear reason. He felt ashamed because everyone else seemed peaceful, and he felt broken. One night, after another long stretch of sleeplessness, he walked quietly through the temple corridors and found the Zen master sitting in the meditation hall. The hall was dim. A single candle burned near the altar, small but steady. The master's face was calm in the warm light. The novice bowed and whispered, "Master, my mind won't stop. I can't sleep. I've tried to meditate, but thoughts keep coming. I feel like I'm failing." The master looked at him with the kind of attention that doesn't rush. Then he smiled, just a little. Not because the novice's struggle was funny, but because the master recognized the trap. The novice was turning sleep into a test of worth. The master pointed to the candle. "Do you see this flame?" he asked. "Yes," the novice said. The master asked, "Does the flame fight the darkness?" The novice paused. "No," he said. It just burns. The master nodded. And the darkness? He asked. The darkness doesn't argue, the novice replied. The master smiled again. Then why are you arguing with your thoughts? The novice didn't have an answer. The master said softly, Thoughts are like darkness. They appear. They pass. You don't need to defeat them. You only need to keep the flame of awareness steady. The novice stared at the candle. He noticed something he'd never noticed. The flame moved. It flickered. It leaned when the air shifted, but it didn't panic. It didn't call itself a failure for flickering. It kept burning. The master watched the novice's face soften, then continued. Your breath is like this flame, not perfect, not rigid, but steady enough. When thoughts come, don't fight them. Return to the breath. That return is the flame. The novice whispered, But the thoughts are so loud. The master smiled. The candle is small, he said. Still, it lights the room. Mine is free, he said. The master, it lights the room. That line landed like peace. The master then did something simple. He placed a small bowl of water beside the candle and said, Sit, watch the flame, and breathe. The novice sat. He watched the flame. He breathed. At first, his mind kept pulling him away. But the master did not correct him. He did not demand silence. He simply remained nearby, smiling gently, as if saying, Minutes passed. The novice noticed his shoulders dropping, his jaw loosening, his breath lengthening. He began to understand. Sleep doesn't come from winning a battle. Sleep comes from ending the battle. In Buddhist teachings, this aligns with the practice of mindfulness, of breathing anapanasati. The Buddha taught that awareness of the breath can calm the mind and cultivate insight. But notice the tone. It's not forced. It's not aggressive. It's steady, like a candle. The story also reflects a deeper Buddhist truth. We suffer not only because of thoughts, but because of our relationship to thoughts. When we label thoughts as enemies, the nervous system stays in fight mode. When we allow thoughts to arise and pass, the nervous system downshifts. This is why Zen smiles. It knows the mind is noisy. It knows we can't control everything. The smile is a reminder you can still rest. Now, how do you bring this candle teaching into your own bed tonight? First, treat your breath like the flame. You're not trying to make it perfect. You're simply keeping it steady enough. Lie down and find a comfortable position. Let your body be supported. Then breathe naturally for a few moments. Second, when you notice thoughts, don't push them away. Instead, do what the candle does. Keep burning. That means return attention to one small point of the breath. Choose the feeling of air at the nostrils, or the rise of the chest, or the movement of the belly. Keep it gentle. Keep it simple. Third, lengthen the exhale slightly. The exhale is like a soft wind that smooths the nervous system. Don't force. Just let the exhale be a little longer, a little warmer, like a candle's glow spreading. Fourth, use one short phrase if you need help focusing. Inhale, here. Exhale, now. Or inhale, steady. Exhale, soft. These phrases are not the goal. They're just matches that light the flame of awareness. Fifth, if you feel frustrated that you're still awake, remember the Master's smile. You are not failing. You are practicing. Rest begins the moment you stop judging your mind. Even lying in bed, breathing gently is healing. Zen doesn't demand immediate sleep. It invites gradual, quiet. There's also a quiet compassion in the candle image. A candle doesn't light the whole world. It lights what's near. And that's enough. You don't have to solve your entire life tonight. You don't have to answer every question. You only need enough light to be with this moment, enough to soften, enough to breathe. This is what Zen means when it says compassion doesn't need many words. The real teaching is a lived presence, a smile, a candle, a breath, a return. To close Part A, let's turn this into a short, guided candle breath practice you can use at the end of your video segment. Let your eyes soften or close. Feel the bed beneath you. Inhale gently. Exhale longer. Imagine a small candle flame in the center of your chest, warm, steady, quiet. Thoughts may come like darkness around it. Let them come. You do not fight darkness. You keep the flame steady. Inhale. Feel the flame. Exhale. Let it glow wider. If the mind wanders, return without blame. Each return is the flame. Each return is kindness. And now, one last line to carry you into the next part of the script. I don't need silence to rest. I only need a steady return. That is Zen. That is the smile of a teacher who knows your humanity and still trusts your capacity for peace. The Master's smile in everyday life. How wordless compassion heals you. Part A gave us stories. Part B brings the teaching into your real life, especially the places where your heart gets tired. Family, work, relationships, social media, and the quiet moments at night when everything you've been holding finally shows up. Zen is practical. It doesn't ask you to live in a monastery to understand compassion. It asks you to notice how you meet each moment. And it offers one simple image you can carry anywhere. The smile of a Zen master. Compassion that doesn't need many words. Not a fake smile. Not a good vibes only smile. A smile that means, I will not add harm. A smile that means, I can respond without tightening. A smile that means, I see you, and I see myself, and I'm not here to fight. So let's bring it down to everyday life. Think about how often conflict grows because of tone, speed, and ego. Someone says something sharp. Your body reacts. You answer quickly. The moment escalates. And later, you lie in bed replaying it. Zen compassion interrupts this pattern not by winning arguments, but by changing the energy at the start. A Zen master's smile is basically a pause with kindness inside it. The pause is powerful. In Buddhism, mindfulness creates a gap between impulse and action. That gap is where freedom lives. Without the gap, we speak from habit, not from wisdom. So the first practice of wordless compassion is simple. Pause. When you feel triggered, pause long enough to exhale once. One exhale is a small bow. One exhale is the umbrella opening. One exhale is the candle staying steady. Then soften your face. Even if the smile is only inward, let the forehead relax and the jaw unclench. Your nervous system reads your face like a message. A softened face tells the brain, we are not in danger. A softened face prevents the second arrow, the extra suffering that comes from reactivity. Now, here's the next layer. Wordless compassion doesn't mean silence all the time. It means choosing speech that heals rather than speech that scorches. Zen masters can be quiet, but when they speak, their words are clean, few, direct, and kind. In daily life, few words can be a superpower. Instead of explaining yourself for 5 minutes, you can say, I hear you. Instead of defending, you can say, let me think. Instead of attacking, you can say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Instead of escalating, you can say, can we pause this and talk later? These are not weak phrases. They are boundaries wrapped in compassion. Bamboo with roots. They protect your peace and the relationship at the same time. And this is especially helpful if you're someone who gets drained by emotional storms around you. When you over-explain, you often feed the storm. Zen offers simple, grounded responses like placing the bowl down gently instead of throwing it. Now let's talk about compassion toward yourself, because this is where most people lose sleep. Many people treat themselves with a harsh inner voice. You should have done better. You messed up again. Why are you like this? That voice is not discipline. It's inner harm. Zen-style is an antidote. It says, you can learn without cruelty. Try this. The next time you catch yourself in self-attack, imagine the Zen master from the stories. He doesn't argue with your feelings. He doesn't shame you. He simply smiles and offers tea. He's saying, come back. Start again. The practice is to borrow that energy and aim it inward. A simple self-compassion pause can be hand on chest. Long exhale. One sentence. I'm human. I'm learning. That's it. That's the uncarved block returning. That's wiping the mirror without scratching it. Now, some people worry, if I'm kind to myself, I'll become lazy. Zen doesn't support laziness. It supports clarity. And clarity often produces better action than shame. When you're not drained by self-hatred, you actually have energy to improve. Compassion is not permissive. It's stabilizing. In Buddhist terms, you are cultivating wholesome states, kindness, patience, equanimity. These states reduce suffering and support wise choices. Let's bring this to relationships. Most relationship pain isn't only about what happened. It's about the stories we attach to it. They don't care. I'm not important. I'm always the one who tries. The empty boat teaching from earlier applies here. Wordless compassion can be a way of not taking everything personally. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you do for yourself is to stop arguing with an imaginary version of someone in your mind at 2 a.m. When you feel the mind building stories at night, you can use a Zen response. Maybe this isn't about me. Then return to breath. Or, this is a thought. Then return to the body. The master's smile means you don't have to believe every thought to be safe. Now, social media. Social media is like rain, constant input, constant comparison, constant emotion. If you take it in right before bed, your mind stays wet. Zen would say, don't be surprised if you can't sleep when you keep your nervous system in a storm. Wordless compassion toward yourself might be setting a gentle limit. No heavy content for the last 30 minutes. Not as punishment, as care. That's the umbrella. If you can't change your habits tonight, that's okay. You can still practice wiping the mirror. Label thoughts. Return. Soften. Now let's talk about anxiety, because many viewers come to these videos for relief. Zen doesn't shame anxiety. It teaches you how to relate to it. Anxiety is often a mind-body alarm that's too sensitive. If you fight it, it grows. If you make space for it, it often softens. That's the listening bowl. So if anxiety appears tonight, try this. Name it. Anxiety is here. Breathe. Long exhale. Soften. Jaw. Shoulders. Belly. Allow. This can be here. Return. Here. Now. This is compassion without many words. Simple, steady, repeated. Now, here's a key teaching that ties all Part B together. Compassion is not a mood, it's a decision. It's the decision not to add harm, not to yourself, not to others, not to the moment. A Zen master's smile is that decision made visible. You can practice it in the grocery store, in traffic, at work, in your home, and most importantly, in bed. Because bedtime is where your unspoken day shows up. All the tension you didn't release, all the feelings you didn't name, all the words you swallowed. Zen teaches you to end the day clean. Not perfect, but clean enough to rest. So here's a short bedtime practice to close this section. Practical, repeatable, and simple. Lie down. Exhale slowly. Soften the face. Inwardly smile, not forced, just gentle. Say one line. May I not add harm tonight. Return to the breath. If thoughts come, don't fight them. Smile softly. Return. If emotions come, don't argue. Make space. Return. If you feel restless, don't shame yourself. Keep the candle steady. Return. This is Zen. Not dramatic, but faithful. And if you want one phrase to summarize Part B, 1. Make it this: my kindness can be quiet and still change everything. When you want to be understood, the smile that chooses peace over proof. A lot of suffering in everyday life comes from one hungry feeling: I want to be understood. Not liked necessarily, not praised, just understood. We want someone to see our effort, our intention, our pain. And when we don't feel seen, the nervous system reacts as if we're in danger. We explain too much. We defend. We argue. We build a case. We try to prove we're right. Then we go to bed and replay the whole scene again and again, because part of us is still trying to win understanding. Zen sees this clearly, and Zen offers a surprising medicine: a quiet smile that says, I don't need to prove myself to be at peace. This doesn't mean you never speak up. It doesn't mean you accept disrespect. It means you stop turning every moment into a courtroom. You choose peace over proof, especially when proof would cost your sleep. There's a small Zen teaching hidden in many stories. The master often responds with less than expected. A student asks a big question, and the master pours tea. A person complains, and the master smiles. A conflict escalates, and the master bows. Why? Because Zen is less interested in satisfying the mind's hunger than in calming the heart's suffering. The hunger to be understood can be endless. Even if someone agrees with you, you might still feel dissatisfied, but they don't really get it. The mind keeps pushing for the perfect mirror. Zen says, if you chase the perfect mirror, you'll never rest. Instead, return to the steady mirror inside, your own awareness. So let's look closely at this, because this is the kind of tension that keeps people awake at night. When you want to be understood, your body tightens, your breath shortens, your voice changes. Even if your words are reasonable, your nervous system is broadcasting urgency. And people can feel that urgency. Sometimes they react defensively. Then the conflict grows. Zen interrupts that cycle at the earliest point, the body. The first practice is the same simple one we've used again and again. One exhale. Before you reply, take one slow exhale. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. That exhale is like the master's smile. It says, I am choosing a different energy. Now, there's an important Buddhist teaching here: right speech. Right speech isn't only about telling the truth. It's about timing, kindness, and usefulness. Sometimes the truth is real, but not useful in the heat of the moment. Sometimes the truth is correct, but not kind. Sometimes the truth is kind, but not clear. Zen asks for all three, but it knows we are human. So it begins with restraint. Don't speak from the flame. And here's the hard part. Sometimes you're right, and people still won't understand. Zen doesn't argue with that reality. It says, let go of the craving for a perfect outcome. That craving is attachment. Attachment creates suffering. In Buddhist language, craving is a root of dukkha. Craving for praise, craving for control, craving for being seen exactly as you wish to be seen. These cravings are normal, but they're exhausting. Zen compassion doesn't shame them. It simply asks, is this craving worth your peace tonight? So what does choosing peace over proof actually look like? It can look like saying less. It can look like not answering every comment. It can look like letting someone misunderstand you temporarily. It can look like walking away and returning later when you're calmer. That last one is especially important. Zen is not passive. It's strategic. It understands that the mind cannot solve conflict while flooded with emotion. When you're flooded, you don't need to win. You need to downshift. Here's a practical Zen script you can use in real life, short and grounded. I hear you. I need a moment. Let's talk when we're calmer. These lines are compassionate boundaries, bamboo with roots. Now, let's bring this into the family setting, because family is where the hunger to be understood is strongest. With family, misunderstandings touch identity. They don't see who I really am. They still treat me like I'm a child. They don't respect my effort. This pain is deep. And deep pain often tries to heal itself through explanation. But here's the truth. Explanation doesn't always heal. Sometimes it fuels the cycle. The other person hears your explanation as accusation. Then they defend. Then you defend. Then you both lose. Zen offers a different healing: presence and boundaries. Presence. You listen, you breathe, you soften. Boundaries. You don't keep walking into the same fire. If you want to be understood, Zen suggests you start by understanding yourself. This is not selfish. It's stabilizing. When you know your own truth, you don't need everyone to agree for you to feel real. You can be steady even when someone else is confused. At night, this is the key. Because nighttime rumination is often the mind trying to force understanding after the conversation is over. Your brain keeps producing new arguments, better sentences, sharper evidence, but none of that can reach the other person at midnight. It only reaches your nervous system, and it keeps it awake. So Zen gives you a bedtime boundary. No court sessions after dark. If your mind starts rehearsing, you can say gently, "Not now. This can wait. I choose rest. This is not avoidance. It is timing. Tomorrow, you can speak again. Tonight, you protect your mind." Now, there's also a compassion practice for the hunger itself. The hunger to be understood is often the inner child asking for safety. It's a tender place, so treat it kindly. You can place a hand on your chest and say, "I see you. You want to be seen. That makes sense." Then breathe out slowly and add, "And I can still be at peace." This is the master's smile turned inward. It's a way of giving yourself what you were hoping to receive from others: recognition and softness. In Buddhist terms, this is a form of self-compassion and mindfulness. You are observing a craving without obeying it. You are holding it like the listening bowl. You are not shaming yourself for wanting to be understood. You are simply not sacrificing your sleep to chase it. Now, what about when you truly need to be understood? When the issue is serious, when boundaries were crossed? Zen does not tell you to stay silent. It tells you to speak with clarity and calm. If something matters, choose a time and place when you can speak skillfully, not in the heat, not while flooded. This is right speech again. Truth plus kindness plus timing. So the practical Zen plan is: pause when triggered. Speak less in the heat. Return later with clarity. Let go of needing immediate validation. This plan protects both the relationship and your nervous system. Let's close this section with a simple guided peace-over-proof meditation you can use in the video. Lie down. Take a slow inhale. Exhale longer. On the inhale, feel the hunger. I want to be understood. On the exhale, soften. I choose peace. Repeat. Inhale. Seen. Exhale. Safe. Inhale. Truth. Exhale. Gentle. If a conversation replays, imagine placing it on a shelf until morning, like setting down the stone. You are not denying it. You are delaying the courtroom. And remember the master's quiet smile. That smile doesn't mean you don't matter. It means you matter enough to stop harming yourself with endless proving. One line to carry into sleep from this teaching is, I can be misunderstood and still be okay. Say it softly. Let your jaw relax. Let your shoulders drop. Let the breath lengthen. Peace is not the reward for being perfectly understood. Peace is the choice to stop fighting in your mind when the fight is no longer useful. When someone hurts you, the smile that protects your heart without hardening. When people hear compassion, they sometimes imagine becoming soft in a way that invites more harm. Zen compassion is not that. Zen compassion is softness with backbone, a heart that stays kind without becoming naive, a mind that stays clear without becoming cold. This is where the smile of a Zen master becomes deeply practical. Because when someone hurts you through disrespect, betrayal, selfishness, or repeated carelessness, your nervous system naturally tries to protect you. It tightens. It becomes alert. It wants a strategy. Sometimes that strategy becomes anger. Anger can feel like power, like armor. But armor has a cost. It keeps the body braced, the mind restless, and the heart guarded. If you wear armor all day, you cannot sleep at night. Zen does not say, don't be angry. Zen says, don't let anger become your home. The master's smile is not approval of harm. It's a reminder. You can protect yourself without poisoning yourself. There's a quiet truth in Buddhist teaching. Suffering has layers. The first layer is what happened. The second layer is what we add: rumination, self-blame, revenge fantasies, endless replay. This is the second arrow again. When someone hurts you, the first arrow may be real and painful. Zen helps you avoid shooting the second arrow into your own mind every night. So let's talk about protection the Zen way. Protection begins with clarity. When someone hurts you, your mind may rush to global conclusions. They're always like this. I can't trust anyone. I'm stupid for caring. Those conclusions feel protective, but they often make you harder, not safer. Zen asks you to return to what is true and specific. That action hurt. That boundary was crossed. I feel anger and sadness. Specific truth is cleaner than global bitterness. Then comes the next step, boundary. Zen boundaries can be quiet. They don't have to be dramatic announcements. They can be simple choices. Reducing contact, changing expectations, not sharing vulnerable details, ending a conversation when it turns harmful. Bamboo with roots. Remember, compassion without boundaries becomes self-harm. In Buddhist ethics, self-harm is still harm. So the smile of a Zen master at this moment does not mean, come closer. It often means, step back with a clean heart. The reason Zen emphasizes clean heart is this. If your boundary is fueled by hatred, you remain attached. The person still owns your mind. You still carry them to bed. But if your boundary is fueled by clarity and self-respect, you regain your inner freedom. This is the subtle difference. Hatred says, I hope you suffer. Clarity says, I will not keep stepping into fire. Zen chooses clarity. Now, many viewers struggle because they think they must choose between two extremes. Either be nice and tolerate harm, or be strong and become hard. Zen offers a third way, strong without cruelty. Here's a practical model. Compassion for the human, boundaries for the behavior. You can recognize that someone's harmful behavior may come from ignorance, pain, or immaturity without letting that behavior continue in your life. This is not enabling. It's wisdom. In Buddhist language, compassion is paired with prajna, wisdom. Wisdom sees what is wholesome and unwholesome. Wisdom protects the mind from unwholesome conditions. You don't keep your hand on a hot stove to prove you're compassionate. So, what does this look like in conversation? Instead of explaining endlessly, you can use short, steady phrases. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available for this conversation. I'm going to stop here. I need respect to continue. Say it once, calmly, then follow through. This is Zen strength. Few words, clear action, no extra drama. And if the other person tries to pull you into a fight, accusations, guilt, blame, Zen teaches you to return to the breath, not to become passive, but to stay grounded. When you stay grounded, you don't donate your nervous system to someone else's chaos. Now, the hardest part. What do you do with the pain after you set the boundary? Because boundaries can protect you externally, but internally, the heart may still ache. This is where the master's smile becomes medicine again. It says, don't harden, because hardened hearts don't heal. They just stop feeling, and that numbness costs peace. So Zen invites you to hold pain like the listening bowl. Yes, this hurt. Not, I'm fine. not "it doesn't matter," just honest acknowledgement. And then the release process begins. Release does not mean forgetting. It means not letting this pain become your identity. One helpful Zen reflection is this: bitterness is like drinking poison and hoping the other person gets sick. This is a common teaching across wisdom traditions. The point is not to shame you for feeling bitter. The point is to ask, is this poison helping you? Most of the time, it is only keeping you awake. So tonight, if someone hurt you, here is a Zen practice that combines protection and softness. Name the truth. That hurt. Name the boundary. I will protect myself. Name the intention. I will not harden. Return to breath. You can do it in bed, quietly, like a vow. Now, there is also a forgiveness dimension, but Zen never forces forgiveness on a timetable. Forgiveness cannot be demanded. It is like the last leaf it loosens when the heart is ready. But you can begin by releasing one small thing: the replay. Replaying is the mind's attempt to regain control. It imagines new endings, stronger words, better defenses. But replaying doesn't change the past. It just keeps your nervous system activated. So the first release is not "forgive them." The first release is, "I will stop replaying this tonight." That is compassion for yourself. Here's a phrase you can use when the replay starts. Not now. I choose rest. I can deal with this tomorrow. Then return to the exhale. If the pain is deep, add loving kindness. May I be safe. May my heart be protected. May I be free from bitterness. Notice, you are not blessing harm. You are blessing your own freedom. Now let's talk about the spiritual depth of the Master's smile here. The Master's smile is not naive optimism. It is equanimity, the steadiness that comes from seeing impermanence and karma, cause and effect. If someone acts unskillfully, it will bear fruit in their life. You do not need to become the punishment. You do not need to carry the role of judge. That role is exhausting. Zen says, let reality teach. You focus on your own mind. This is incredibly liberating at bedtime. When you stop trying to manage other people's outcomes, your mind becomes lighter. To close this section, here is a gentle guided meditation you can include in your video. Lie down. Place one hand on your chest. Inhale slowly. Exhale longer. Whisper inwardly. Truth. That hurt. Boundary. I protect myself. Compassion. I do not harden. Peace. I let the night hold me. If tears come, let them come. If anger comes, let it be felt without being fed. You don't have to turn anger into a story. Feel it as energy. Then soften with the exhale. And remember the Zen Master's smile. It is the face of a heart that refuses to be owned by harm. One final line to carry into sleep from this teaching is, I can protect my heart and keep it gentle. Say it softly. Let the body sink. Let the exhale lengthen. Let the fight end for the night. Because the greatest victory is not proving you were right. The greatest victory is sleeping in peace, with your dignity intact and your heart still alive. When you're exhausted, the smile that gives you permission to rest. There's a kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix right away. It's not just physical tiredness. It's the deep fatigue of carrying too much, too many roles, too many expectations, too much emotional labor, too much responsibility with not enough support. People who live in that fatigue often don't rest even when they lie down. Their body is in bed, but their nervous system is still on duty. Zen understands this exhaustion in a very compassionate way. It doesn't shame you for being tired. It doesn't tell you to be stronger. It offers something many exhausted people have not received in a long time: permission. Permission to rest. Permission to stop performing. Permission to not be okay and still be worthy of peace. The smile of a Zen master, in this moment, is not a motivational poster. It's a quiet recognition. You've been holding a lot. You can put it down now. In Buddhist practice, resting is not laziness. It's part of skillful living. The Buddha taught the middle way, not indulgence, not harshness. And many modern lives lean toward harshness, pushing, proving, producing, pleasing. The result is a mind that cannot shut off. The result is insomnia, irritability, and that dull sadness that comes from being continuously depleted. Zen offers a remedy that begins very small. Stop adding extra effort. Exhausted people often do this without realizing it. They add extra effort in the mind, rechecking, replanning, reliving. Even at night, they try to do sleep correctly. They judge their rest. They fight their wakefulness. They demand that their body cooperate. That demand is more effort. And effort keeps the nervous system awake. Zen says, when you are exhausted, the first kindness is to stop pushing. There's a story Zen teachers sometimes share in different forms. A student came to a master and said, "I'm so tired. I want peace, but I can't get there." The master pointed to a mountain path and said, "How do you reach the top?" The student said, "By walking." The master replied, "And how do you rest?" The student said, "By stopping." The master smiled, "Then stop." The student said, "But my mind won't stop." The master said, "Then stop fighting your mind." That's the whole teaching. When you stop fighting, you begin to rest even before sleep arrives. This matters deeply for your audience, because so many people come to bedtime videos with the same silent cry, "I can't do this anymore." Zen's smile answers, you don't have to do anything right now. So let's translate that into a clear, practical practice. First, permission in words. You can speak to yourself differently tonight. Instead of, "I should be asleep," try, "It's okay to rest even if I'm awake." Instead of, "I'm behind," try, "Tonight, I pause." Instead of, "I must fix everything," try, Not tonight. Those sentences might feel too simple, but simplicity is what a tired nervous system needs. Zen doesn't give you complicated homework when you're depleted. It gives you a gentle doorway back to safety. Second, permission in the body. Exhaustion often comes with hidden bracing. The shoulders creep up. The jaw locks. The belly tightens. The eyes strain, even when closed. So tonight, do something very specific. Relax, one area at a time. Not perfectly, just intentionally. Jaw, unclench. Tongue, rest. Shoulders, drop. Belly, soften. Hands, open. Each release is permission. Third, permission in the breath. Your exhale is your body's natural permission to release. When the exhale lengthens, the parasympathetic system activates. So let your exhale be a little longer than your inhale. No forcing, just a gentle drift. Inhale, natural. Exhale, slower, longer, warmer. If the mind is racing, count the exhale length. 4 on inhale, 6 on exhale, or 4 and 7. Keep it comfortable. The point is a gentle downshift. Now, here's where compassion without many words becomes powerful. The Zen master's smile is not a pep talk, it's presence. It's the energy that says, "I'm not disappointed in you for being tired." Many exhausted people carry shame about fatigue. They think tiredness means weakness or failure, or laziness, or being not spiritual enough. Zen says tiredness is a human body speaking honestly. In Buddhist language, the body is part of the truth. When the body says it needs rest, listening is wisdom. Ignoring it is ignorance, and ignorance leads to more suffering. So tonight, treat your tiredness like the guest in the house. Hello, fatigue. I see you. You don't have to push it away. You don't have to dramatize it. Just acknowledge it. Acknowledgement is calming. Now, some people are exhausted because they are carrying emotional weight, grief, worry, loneliness, regret. In that case, rest requires emotional permission too. It requires letting emotions exist without trying to solve them in the dark. Zen's smile says, you can feel and still rest. You don't have to be fixed to lie down in peace. This is a crucial teaching. Rest is not earned by perfection. Rest is a basic need, a birthright of being alive. Now let's bring in a related Buddhist teaching, non-attachment. Exhausted minds are often attached to control. They keep planning because planning feels like safety. But planning at midnight isn't productive. It's nervous energy. Zen asks you to loosen the grip on control at night. Not forever. Just for now. So make a simple deal with your mind. Tomorrow, I will handle what I can. Tonight, I rest. This is not denial. It's wise scheduling. Now, for your video script, here is a guided Permission to Rest meditation segment, designed to be slow, soothing, and sleep-friendly. Lie down and let the bed hold you. Feel the points of contact: head, shoulders, hips, legs. Let your body be heavy. Inhale gently. Exhale longer. Now, say inwardly, I give myself permission to rest. I don't have to solve anything right now. I can be tired and still be safe. If thoughts come, don't fight them. Smile softly like the Zen master. Return to the exhale. Now relax the jaw. Relax the shoulders. Relax the belly. Let the breath become quiet. If you are still awake, it's okay. Rest is still happening. You are still healing. That last line is important. Rest can happen without sleep. Sleep is ideal, but rest is already medicine. When you stop judging your wakefulness, you stop feeding the stress loop. Often, sleep comes after that. To close this section, here's a phrase your audience can remember. I don't have to be strong tonight. I just have to be here. And here is the Zen master's smile in one sentence. You've done enough for today. Let that land. Let the nervous system believe it. Let the exhale carry it into the dark. When you can't stop thinking, the smile that turns thoughts into clouds. If you're listening tonight, there's a good chance your mind is doing what minds do, producing thoughts. But some nights, it feels endless, like your brain has 1,000 tabs open at once. You're trying to sleep, but your mind keeps running. It replays the day. It predicts the future. It revisits old scenes. It invents new worries. And the harder you try to shut it down, the louder it gets. Zen understands this perfectly. And Zen offers a gentle shift that can change everything. Stop treating thoughts like enemies. Treat them like clouds. A Zen master's smile, when your mind is racing, is not saying, "Why are you still thinking?" The smile says, "Of course you're thinking." Then it teaches you how to relate to thinking in a way that doesn't steal your peace. In Buddhist practice, the goal is not to eliminate thoughts. The goal is to stop being carried away by them. Think of it like this. You can watch clouds move across the sky without chasing each one. You don't have to jump up and follow a cloud down the street. You simply see it and let it pass. Zen invites you to become the sky wide enough for all thoughts without becoming the storm. This is a powerful teaching for sleep because insomnia often becomes a battle. You battle your mind. You battle the clock. You battle the fear of being tired tomorrow. The battle creates tension. Tension creates more thoughts. It's a loop. Zen breaks the loop with acceptance plus returning. Acceptance. Thoughts are here. Returning. Breath is here. That's it. Simple, steady, repeated. Now, let's make this practical. When you can't stop thinking, the mind tends to do two unhelpful things. It believes every thought is urgent. It believes every thought is true. Zen challenges both. Most thoughts at night are not urgent, they're nervous energy. Most thoughts at night are not fully true. They're interpretations, worries, projections. So the first Zen move is labeling. Labeling is like putting a small name tag on a cloud so you don't climb into it. You might label planning, remembering, worrying, judging, rehearsing, imagining. Label softly, not aggressively. You're not scolding the thought. You're recognizing it. Then you return to the breath. This is mindfulness in its simplest form. In Buddhism, this is also related to the teaching that the mind is a stream. You don't dam the river with your hands. You step to the bank and watch. The master's smile is the bank steady, safe, non-reactive. So let's create a bedtime practice from this thoughts as clouds teaching. Step 1. Choose one anchor. Pick the breath at the nostrils, or the rise and fall of the belly, or the feeling of the bed under your body. Choose one. Keep it simple. Step 2. Lengthen the exhale a little. The exhale signals safety to the nervous system. A longer exhale is like widening the sky. Step 3. When thoughts appear, label and return. Example: thought, what if tomorrow goes wrong? Label, worrying. Return to breath. If another thought comes, I should have said that differently. Label, rehearsing. Return to breath. If another thought comes, why can't I sleep? Label, judging. Return to breath. Each return is a small smile. Each return is compassion. You're not punishing yourself for being human. Now, there's a deeper layer that makes this even more powerful. Many thoughts are fueled by emotion in the body. If the body is tense, the mind produces more content. So along with labeling, soften the body. Release. Shoulders. Drop. Belly. Soften. Hands. Open. You're telling the nervous system, we are safe enough to rest. The mind often follows. Now, Zen also offers a phrase that works like a key in a lock. Not now. When the mind insists, think about this, you answer gently, not now. Not never, not denial, just not now. This phrase is especially helpful because the mind is often trying to protect you. It thinks thinking is solving. So you don't attack the mind. You set a bedtime boundary. You say, tomorrow. You say, in the morning. Then you return to breath. This is wordless compassion. Firm, but gentle. Now, in Buddhist terms, this practice is training equanimity, the ability to stay steady even when experience moves. Equanimity is not coldness, it's balance. It's a calm heart that doesn't get dragged by every wave. For sleep, equanimity is gold. It means your mind can have thoughts without turning them into emergencies. So here's a short guided meditation segment you can place in your video, designed specifically for overthinking. Close your eyes. Feel the bed supporting you. Inhale naturally. Exhale longer. Now imagine your mind is the sky. Thoughts are clouds. Some are thin, some are dark, but all of them move. When a thought appears, whisper inwardly, "Cloud," then return to the breath. If another thought appears, whisper, "Cloud," then return. No argument, no chase. Now, with each exhale, imagine the sky widening. Your awareness is bigger than your thoughts. Your presence is bigger than your worry. If the mind pulls you into a story, gently step back. Label it story. Return. You are not failing. You are practicing. Now, a common problem is the sleep panic. The thought, if I don't sleep, tomorrow will be ruined. This thought makes the body spike with stress. Zen responds with compassion and realism. Even rest helps. I can handle tomorrow. My body knows how to recover. These are not guarantees. They are grounding truths. They take the emergency out of the moment. So if sleep panic appears, label it fear. Then return to breath. Then soften the belly. Fear lives in the belly. A soft belly is a safe signal. Also, if you find that your mind keeps returning to a specific topic, work, relationships, money, Zen suggests one simple action. Write it down tomorrow. Not now. For now, the mind gets permission to stop. You can tell it, "I won't forget. I'll handle it when the sun is up." That is compassion with structure. And here's a final Zen insight. Sometimes the mind races because it's tired, not because it's powerful, like a child who gets more hyper when exhausted. If you treat the mind like a tired child, you don't yell at it. You soothe it. You lower lights. You speak gently. You let it settle. The master's smile is exactly that, soothing without indulgence. One line to carry into sleep from this teaching is, I can let thoughts pass without following them. Say it once, then let it go. Return to breath. Return to the feeling of your body being held. Return to the simple truth. This moment is enough. And if you're still awake, keep practicing. Each return is a win. Each return is the path. When you feel lonely, the smile that reminds you you're not separate. Loneliness at night can feel louder than loneliness during the day. In daylight, you can distract yourself. Work, errands, messages, noise. But at night, when the room is quiet, the heart starts speaking. And sometimes what it says is simple and painful. I'm alone. Zen doesn't dismiss that feeling. It doesn't tell you to be grateful or think positive. It meets loneliness with a kind of compassion that doesn't need many words. Because loneliness is not solved by a speech. It's not even solved by a perfect idea. Loneliness is softened by presence, by the sense of being connected to something larger than the story in your mind. A Zen master's smile, when you feel lonely, is like a gentle hand on the shoulder. It says, I'm here, and then it points you toward a deeper truth. You are not as separate as you think. In Buddhist teaching, separation is often a perception shaped by the mind. The body feels alone. The mind turns it into a belief. No one cares. I don't belong. I'm forgotten. But those beliefs are not always reality. They are interpretations. And even when you truly are physically alone, you are still not separate from life itself. Breath, earth, water, time, the countless beings who make your moment possible. Zen doesn't romanticize this. It simply invites you to look. So let's take this gently and practically. When loneliness appears at night, two things often happen. Your mind starts searching for proof of abandonment. Your body starts bracing, like it's unsafe. Zen addresses both, starting with the body. First, soften the body. Loneliness often lives in the chest. It can feel like a hollow ache or a tight heaviness. The instinct is to collapse inward or to tense. But Zen asks for a different posture. Soften without collapsing. Place one hand over your chest. Feel warmth. Feel contact. That contact alone is already connection. Then breathe out slowly. A longer exhale tells the nervous system, I am safe enough right now. Now, the mind. The mind may begin to replay memories of being left out, forgotten, rejected, or misunderstood. It may compare your life to other people's lives. It may scroll through images in your head, like a painful social feed. Zen teaches, notice the comparison. Comparison is often the fuel of loneliness. It creates the sense that everyone else is connected, and you are the exception. So, the first Zen move is labeling again, comparing, remembering, story, then return to breath. This isn't denial. It's preventing the mind from deepening loneliness into despair. It's preventing the second arrow. Now, the deeper teaching. Not separate. In Buddhism, there is a strong emphasis on interdependence, the idea that nothing exists alone. Your life is made of countless conditions. The air you breathe, the food grown by farmers, the water carried through pipes, the people who built your home, the ancestors who gave you a body, the teachers who gave you language. Even if your phone is silent tonight, you are still held by an entire web of life. Zen masters sometimes use very simple images to express this. A leaf is not separate from the tree. A wave is not separate from the ocean. A flame is not separate from oxygen. You are not separate from the conditions that hold you. Loneliness is real as a feeling, but separation is not as solid as it seems. This is not just philosophy. This is medicine for sleep. When you feel connected, the nervous system relaxes. When you feel separate and abandoned, the system stays alert. Connection is safety. So, how do you cultivate felt connection at night? Zen offers something called returning to the senses. When the mind is lonely, it is often living in mental images. Returning to the senses brings you back to the real environment, which is often gentler than the mind's story. Feel the blanket on your skin. Feel the air at your nostrils. Hear the sound in the room. Fan. Distant traffic. Rain. Feel the bed supporting you. The bed is holding you. That is not nothing. Now, add one more layer: loving kindness. In Buddhism, loving kindness, metta, is a direct practice for loneliness because it turns the heart outward without requiring anyone else to be present in the room. You generate a field of warmth, like lighting a candle in the chest. Loneliness is often the heart going cold. Metta warms it. Try these phrases slowly. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I feel connected. May I be held by life. Then, extend it gently beyond yourself. May others who feel lonely tonight be safe. May they be peaceful. May they be held too. Notice what happens when you do this. The heart often softens because it realizes you are not the only one. Millions of people are in beds tonight feeling exactly what you feel. When you include them in compassion, loneliness becomes a shared human condition rather than a private shame. Zen compassion doesn't need many words because it doesn't need to convince you. It gives you a direct experience. Warmth in the chest, softness in the breath, the sense of being part of something larger. Now, there's a second form of loneliness that's more subtle: loneliness inside relationships. You can have people around you and still feel unseen. Zen meets this too, with the teaching of presence. If you feel unseen, your mind might try to demand being seen through explanation, proving, or blaming. Zen suggests a gentler route. First, see yourself. A Zen master's smile is the mirror that says, "I see you." When you give yourself that seeing, you become less desperate for it from others. Then you can ask for connection more clearly, without panic. But tonight is not for solving all relationships. Tonight is for resting your heart. So here is a guided meditation segment you can place in your video, designed for loneliness at bedtime. Lie down. Place one hand on your heart. Inhale gently. Exhale longer. Feel the warmth of your hand. Feel the bed holding you. Feel the air entering and leaving. Now imagine a quiet Zen master sitting nearby, not speaking, just present. He smiles softly, not because you shouldn't feel lonely, but because you don't have to carry it alone. On the inhale, whisper inwardly, "Connected." On the exhale, whisper, "Held." Repeat slowly. Now extend kindness outward. May all beings who feel lonely tonight be comforted. May they rest. May they feel held by life. Then return to your breath. If thoughts come, let them be clouds. If tears come, let them be water in the bowl. If silence comes, rest in it. You are not broken for feeling lonely. Loneliness is a human signal. The heart wants connection. Tonight, you are giving it connection in the simplest form: presence, breath, warmth, kindness. And here is one final Zen line to carry into sleep. Even alone, I am not separate. Say it softly. Let it be a gentle reminder not a forced belief. Let the body feel the bed, the breath, the warmth. Let the heart soften. Let sleep come like a quiet friend. When you regret the past, the smile that lets you begin again. Regret is a special kind of pain. It doesn't just hurt, it rewinds. It drags you back into old moments and whispers, if only you had spoken differently. If only you had left earlier. If only you had tried harder. If only you had known what you know now. And at night, regret can feel like a spotlight on every mistake. Zen meets regret with unusual compassion. It doesn't pretend the past didn't happen. It doesn't ask you to erase responsibility, but it also refuses to let the past become a prison. A Zen master's smile, when regret arises, says something quietly radical. You can begin again, not by rewriting history, by changing your relationship to it. In Buddhism, the path is not about being perfect from the start. It's about waking up from unskillful patterns, learning, and choosing a wiser direction. That's why compassion matters. Without compassion, regret turns into self-hatred. And self-hatred does not produce wisdom, it produces exhaustion. So let's take this gently. Regret has two layers. The first layer is the recognition. That action caused harm, or I missed an opportunity, or I wasn't aligned with my values. This layer can be useful. It's information. It can guide you toward better choices. The second layer is punishment. I am a bad person. I don't deserve peace. I will never recover. I ruined everything. This layer is not useful. It's the second arrow. It keeps you awake. It keeps the body tense. It can make you fearful of life itself. Zen helps you keep the first layer without adding the second. There is a Zen story that captures this spirit in a simple way. A student once came to a master and confessed, "I made a terrible mistake. I can't stop thinking about it. I feel unworthy." The master listened, then asked, "Where is the mistake now?" The student said, "In my mind." The master said, "Then you are holding it. Put it down." The student said, "How?" The master smiled. "With the same hands that picked it up." I for, end quote. I for, end quote. I for, thus, end quote. The story is short because the teaching is direct. You can release the mental grip. But people often ask, if I put it down, does that mean I don't care? Zen answers, no. It means you care in a wiser way. You stop confusing remorse with self-destruction. Buddhism has a beautiful balance here. True practice includes ethical reflection and making amends when possible. But it also includes non-harming, especially toward your own mind. The Buddha emphasized wholesome states, compassion, patience, clarity. Beating yourself up is not a wholesome state. It's another form of suffering. So, what does Zen compassion look like when you regret the past? It looks like honesty without cruelty. Honesty. I did that. I said that. I chose that. without cruelty, and I am still capable of goodness. I can learn. I can begin again. A Zen master's smile holds both truths at the same time. Now, there is also a practical question. Can you do anything about the regret? Sometimes yes. Sometimes no. If you can make amends, apologize, repair, correct, Zen supports that. But Zen also asks for timing. You don't do repairs from panic at midnight. You do repairs from clarity in daylight. Tonight, your nervous system needs rest. Rest will give you the strength to act wisely tomorrow. If you cannot change the past, if the person is gone, the moment is gone, the opportunity is gone, then the practice becomes acceptance and transformation. You do not erase the memory. You stop living inside it. So here is a very simple Zen method for regret, especially at bedtime. Name, learn, release, return. Name the regret in one sentence. Learn one lesson from it. 1, not 10. Release it for the night. Return to breath. Let's make it more concrete. Name. I hurt someone with my words. Learn. Next time, I will pause before reacting. Release. I can't fix this tonight. Return, here, now. Or, name. I stayed too long in something that harmed me. Learn next time I will trust my body sooner. Release. I can honor myself now. Return, here, now. This process turns regret into wisdom instead of poison. Now, the hardest part is the emotional charge, guilt, shame, grief. Zen does not ask you to suppress these emotions. It asks you to hold them like water in the bowl. Received, not resisted. Shame grows in silence and harshness. It softens in compassion and presence. So if shame appears tonight, try this. Hand on heart. Long exhale. Whisper inwardly, I am human. That phrase is not an excuse. It's a doorway out of self-hatred. Then add a second phrase. I choose to learn. Then a third. I allow myself to rest. Notice the order. Human, learn, rest. That's Zen. In Buddhist practice, this also connects to impermanence. The past is not a living thing. It is a memory. Memories arise and pass like clouds. The mind makes them feel solid by replaying them. But you can let them pass. You can be the sky again. It also connects to karma in a hopeful way. Karma is not just punishment. It's cause and effect. If you plant new causes now, kindness, patience, clarity, you create new effects. Your past does not have to be your future. This is why Zen masters smile at students who confess regret. They are not smiling at the mistake. They are smiling at the awakening the moment you see clearly. Seeing clearly is already the beginning of change. Now, for your video, here is a guided begin again meditation segment designed for regret at night. Lie down. Feel the bed holding you. Inhale gently. Exhale longer. Now bring to mind one regret. Just one. Don't dive into the whole story. Just the feeling. Name it softly. Regret. Now place a hand on your heart and whisper, I see this. I learn. I begin again. On the next exhale, imagine setting the regret down beside the bed like a heavy bag. You are not throwing it away. You are placing it down so you can rest. Say inwardly, tomorrow, I will take one wise step. Tonight, I rest. Return to the breath. Inhale. Here. Exhale. Now. If the mind returns to the regret, don't fight it. Smile softly. Repeat. I learn. I begin again. Then return. This practice is simple, but it's powerful because it retrains the nervous system. It teaches your body that regret is not an emergency. It's information. It's a teacher, not a jailer. One final line to carry into sleep from this teaching is, my past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Say it gently. Let the shoulders drop. Let the jaw soften. Let the breath lengthen. Let the night be kind to you. Because Zen compassion, without many words, is often just this. A small smile that whispers, start again. The last smile before sleep, turning the teaching into a nightly ritual. We've reached the end of the body of this script, and Zen would want to do something simple here. Not add more ideas, but weave everything into a nightly ritual you can actually live. Because wisdom that stays in the head won't help you sleep. Wisdom has to touch the nervous system. It has to become a felt experience, like a softened jaw, a longer exhale, a quieter heart. So part B, 8 is the bridge. It turns the Zen master's smile into a repeatable bedtime practice, a small ceremony of compassion without many words. In Zen, ceremonies are not about being fancy. They're about attention. A ceremony says, this moment matters. And bedtime is one of the most important moments of the day because it's when your body asks for safety. Your mind may still be noisy. Your life may still be messy. But sleep requires a sense of enoughness. Zen gives you that. Enough breath, enough softness, enough kindness to rest. Let's take the teachings we used, tea, bowl, umbrella, candle, stone, clouds, bow, and turn them into a gentle sequence. You can guide your audience through this in the video, slowly, with pauses, and it will feel like being cared for. First, the threshold. Zen begins with noticing when you cross a threshold entering the meditation hall, stepping through a doorway, placing the cup down. Bedtime is a threshold too. So the first step is a simple act that marks the transition from doing to resting. It can be as small as this. When you get into bed, place your phone out of reach or turn it face down and take one slow exhale. That exhale is your threshold bell. It says, the day is done. Not solved, done. The Zen master's smile begins there, not in perfection, but in completion. Second, the bow. We use the silent apology story to show the power of a bow. At bedtime, a bow becomes a way of letting go of pride and struggle. You don't have to physically bow if you're lying down. You can bow in the heart. A heart bow sounds like this: I did my best today, or I am human, or may I not add harm tonight. A bow is not weakness, it's humility. It's the moment you stop fighting reality. And when you stop fighting reality, the body relaxes. Third, the listening bowl. We use the bowl story to show how being received can heal. At bedtime, you become the listening bowl. You stop pushing feelings away, and you stop drowning in them. You simply make space. So the next step is a gentle check-in. Place one hand on your chest or belly. Ask, what is here? Answer with one feeling word: tired, anxious, sad, lonely, angry, numb. Then say softly, this can be here. That sentence is not surrender to suffering. It's compassion. It prevents the second arrow. Fourth, the stone. 117, 117, 117, 117, 117. We use the stone story to talk about forgiveness and release. Bedtime is not the time to carry stones. So the ritual includes one intentional release. Choose one thing you're carrying, one. Not the whole lifetime, just one. It might be a conflict, a mistake, a fear, a memory. Then imagine lowering it to the floor beside the bed, not dropping it violently, lowering it gently. Say inwardly, I don't have to carry this tonight. This is powerful because it gives your nervous system permission to stop bracing. Even if the issue remains, your body can rest. Fifth, the clouds. We use the clouds teaching for overthinking. In the ritual, we apply it simply. Thoughts are allowed, but you don't have to follow them. So when thoughts come during the ritual, you label them gently. Worry, planning, remembering, judging. Then return to breath. Each return is the Zen master's smile. This turns the mind from a courtroom into a sky. Sixth, the candle. We use the candle story to teach steady awareness. In the ritual, the candle is your breath. So now you choose one anchor: breath at the nostrils, or belly rise, or the feeling of the bed. And you keep it simple. Inhale naturally. Exhale longer. If the mind wanders, return without blame. The flame flickers. It still lights the room. Seventh, the umbrella. We use the umbrella story to teach quiet giving and gentleness. In the ritual, the umbrella is self-kindness. You widen compassion over yourself like shelter. So now, imagine a soft umbrella of warmth above your heart. You don't need to earn it. You simply receive it. Repeat slowly. May I be safe. May I be at ease. May I rest. If you want to extend this outward, you can add, may all beings who are struggling tonight be at ease. This is beautiful because it transforms loneliness. It reminds you you're part of humanity. Eighth, the final smile. Now we gather it all into one quiet, wordless gesture. The inner smile. Zen teachers often speak about a gentle inner smile, not forced happiness, but a softening of the face that communicates safety. The face is the front door of the nervous system. When you soften the face, the body receives the message. We can relax now. So let your forehead smooth. Let the corners of the mouth lift slightly, not performatively, just enough to soften. Let the eyes rest back in their sockets. Let the jaw unclench. Then take 3 slow breaths with longer exhales. You don't need to chase sleep. You only need to stop chasing control. Sleep often arrives when chasing ends. Now, some people listening will still be awake after this ritual. Zen would say, that's okay. You've already practiced. You've already reduced harm. You've already softened. You've already given your body a different message than panic. The ritual is not a guarantee. It's a path. And paths work through repetition. So end with a gentle closure line, something your audience can repeat nightly. Here, now, enough. Or, I rest in kindness. Or, I let the night hold me. Then, silence. That silence is important. Zen doesn't fill every space. It trusts the quiet. If you want a single sentence to summarize the entire teaching of this video, it might be, compassion doesn't need many words, just a steady return. That is the Zen master's smile. It's tea offered, a bowl receiving tears, a stone lowered gently, clouds passing, a candle burning, an umbrella widening, a bow of humility, a face softening, a breath returning, and the night, finally, becoming kind. Tonight, you don't have to become a different person to deserve peace. Zen is not asking you to erase your past, control your future, or silence your mind by force. It's asking you to soften one breath at a time. The smile of a Zen master is compassion that doesn't need many words. A quiet presence that says, don't add harm, not to others, and not to yourself. If the day felt heavy, let it be heavy, and still let it end. If your mind is loud, let it be loud, and still let your body rest. Like clouds moving across the sky, thoughts can pass without being followed. Like a candle in a dark room, awareness can stay steady even when everything isn't perfect. And, like an umbrella in the rain, kindness can shelter you right where you are. So as you drift towards sleep, take one long exhale and make a simple vow. Tonight, I return. Return to the breath. Return to the body. Return to gentleness. And if sleep comes slowly, that's okay. Your returning is already healing. May you be safe. May you be at ease. May you rest in deep peace.